Welcome back, Last of Us fans. My name is Zach. I am your main host this week, talking The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. Are we all in therapy again? I was in therapy last week, after the end of last week, and I'm still in therapy with one of my co-hosts, Cody Alexander Curtis. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing well. I'm also in therapy from last week.
Perfect. Good to hear. We got a lot to talk about today. Episode 3 is here. Obviously, this is coming off the spoilers. This is a spoiler discussion review for episode 3. Obviously, we're going to talk about episode 2. So, spoilers. Joel's dead.
Yep.
We're all coming off that. And of course, you'll notice that Seth is not here this week. He may join late. He had some things going on this Sunday. Obviously, Sunday's a busy time for a lot of people, so I totally get that. And speaking of busy, if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. Why not? Also, if you're watching live, why not also hit that like and subscribe button right now, as well as start throwing in some questions, because what I like to do is ping some of your comments as we go through the show, and then also, take questions. Evil One thought you were taking a week off. When the fuck did I ever say that? Just gonna say that. I don't remember saying that last week, but yeah, please start leaving your thoughts and questions in there. We'll read them towards the end of the show. This week, we're going to do it a little bit different, guys. I felt, as a game fan, there were a lot of changes in this episode, and I feel like I might keep the structure going forward, is that we're going to go scene by scene, basically. Give our overall impressions, and then jump into some things from the game. We will not be spoiling the game as we go through this, so you are safe. We are not going to talk about the game. When we talk about the game, I will throw up a little banner saying, hey, spoilers for the game, but we're not doing that right now. Right, Cody? We're going to be safe. Yeah. Because this is just a review, plainly, for The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. No spoilers for the game, only show. Yes. Just so you know. But we'll change it to this. Spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2 video game down below when we're talking about the game. But since we're not, it's no spoilers for the game, only the show. So with that said, let's talk about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3. For me, Cody, really great episode. I think some of my concern for the season comes that it's only 7 episodes for the season, and I feel personally that this season probably should be more. Probably should be a longer season. I think that is one of my biggest concerns. But when you kill off a character majorly, you got to come back strong. And with an episode like this, I can see some people being like, really? We're not already pushing Ellie there? Because Walking Dead killed off, spoilers for a 10-year-old scene at this point, they killed off Glenn and Abraham. And then Rick was a pussy bitch for a season and a half. Now, Ellie's not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And I wouldn't say she's being a pussy bitch in this episode either. She is showing her discretion. She knows what she wants to do. And I think for me, I'm okay with that. I think it skips some time, all this stuff. So overall, I'd give this episode a 9.5 out of 10, same as last week's. I thought this was a great one to kind of come back to and center in. Next week's, though, is going to be the true test of how much needs to get done. Cody, what's your quick impressions of this?
My quick impressions, it is my least favorite episode of the season so far. But that's
crazy talk.
I do have some cons for the episode, but most of that is, once again, any cons that I may have goes to, we'll have to see how the rest of the season goes before those cons are a legitimate thing. But I did think, as far as world building, as far as building out the town of Jackson, I think as far as an episode of television, every season of television, good television, has episodes like this. And although this is my least favorite episode of the show so far, that's just because I'm still sort of nervous. Like you, we have 7 episodes. After this one, it's like we got 4 episodes left. And so seeing where they're going to take it from here, it feels like now that this episode is done, it feels like everything's going to be moving very fast paced to the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Which is okay, because from the game, there's a lot of padding. You have to upgrade, you have to explore, you have to do things like that. And that's okay for the game. So I don't need this to be a 5-season thing.
Yeah.
So what's your score? What's your score for this episode?
My score right now, first of all, I will say, the score will definitely change because as of right now, my score for the first 2 episodes are 9.5 right now. My score for this episode is like it's an 8.5. So
Okay.
we'll see how it goes from here.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, with that said, let's jump into the good, the bad, the ugly, all this stuff, or most
Yeah.
of the season. So, I'm going to share my screen real quick. I don't know how this will look, but let's see how this will look. But let's still look decent. Okay, so here's my Twitter, and basically, I like this because I can like click on pictures real quick. So, opening scene. They're cleaning. It's a great opening shot of the clickers burned and everything like that, and I really like that. I thought that was great, showing the devastation like almost immediately after Jackson. Like
Yeah.
that was maybe an hour or two afterwards, at least that night, and getting to see Tommy's reaction. The second you see that watch, you're like, that watch is so memorable, and getting to see how Tommy reacts, I think is a big core crux for me. And I think it hits hard. Like what's his name? It's not Diego.
Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Incredible. Like no words needed to be said. Just all in the look. Pain, torture, guilt in some way. Because he wasn't there. You know what I mean? Even though he wasn't obviously being asked to be there. That was a thing. What do you think of this scene? I thought it was great.
I thought this scene was great. And for me, it's just Tommy as a character is very interesting for me, but I think the fact that we didn't get the conversation.
You okay? Hello?
Yeah, the fact that we didn't get sort of the conversation that we were hoping for, that we've talked on previous episodes here, this scene made up for it for me. Because this is something that, for me personally, I was hoping that would happen. Because me, for anyone who knows, I am a brother. And this for me was a pretty accurate depiction of what would happen in that scenario. And the fact that there was no dialogue and it was very, very somber, for me, it felt like it added a lot. And for me, as a continuation, because that's what this opening scene was a continuation of the end of last week's episode. It felt like it fit in so perfectly well.
Awesome. It is also Gabriel Luna, not Diego Luna. Diego Luna is from Andor. So thank you for those comments.
So right.
But yeah, great scene. I don't know if it makes up for not having the scene in question, but still good. Now this moment right here, Ellie waking up, the tubes in her, the fact that she wakes up and she's just in pain. That's the last thing that she realized and memorized. Excellent. Bella Ramsey, all of the awards for me. This kind of plays into that opening. What about you?
Yep, 100% agree. And for me, it's like once again, it's a difference. It's a difference in the performance of Ellie from the game versus Ellie that we have here with Bella Ramsey. And
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey's. I mean, the thing is for me, Bella Ramsey, as this show is going on, from season 1 to now, she's just catching on more and more with me. I love her as Ellie at this point.
Yeah, phenomenal. I think this is actually one of the improvements of the game. Not truly getting this isn't a moment from the game, but I thought it was really great and PTSD genuine. Yeah. So then we jump into this, and we'll show this great GIF of Jesse. 3 months later,
there's a time skip.
Big, not in the game. There's a tiny time skip, but 3 months. And the second that happened, my jaw kind of hit the floor, and I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, so we're going that way." But it makes sense for the story because Jackson has to be rebuilt. So I had no issue with this. Also, Ellie needs if your ribs break, yeah, you're probably gonna need that fixed up. You know. So I love the 3 month time jump. I thought that was fantastic the way in the direction that they took that. Jesse, for me, really liking his character. I think the performance is pretty solid here. Showing Tommy rebuilding some of the city. What did you think about the 3 month time jump? How was that? Also, did you like Ellie's conversation with Gail in the hospital? I thought that was a really great conversation. How anyone kind of getting out of the hospital has to speak with her. And I think for me, Gail's trying to pull from her, what did Joel mean about that? And I love this sequence for 2 reasons. One, there's a little bit more to Joel and Ellie's relationship. She says that was their last conversation, was at the dance. Doesn't seem like that's true because, second, Ellie's not a good liar. And we see that moment when she lies again to her about the saving part. Joel saved me a lot of times. I have no idea what you're talking about, the other thing. Really subtle performance right there, but really great. What do you think?
Yeah. The time skip I don't have any problem with. It's a change. For me, I like it just in terms of seeing where Jackson is now. Especially after what happened after last week's episode. I have more thoughts, but my thoughts will be for like later on when we're actually talking about the game itself. But in terms of this show, I felt like having that time skip was important, and I have a feeling that we're gonna circle around to this point of the reason for the time skip. But other than that, I like where the characters are. I like the dynamic between the characters. Um, Catherine O'Hara, I think, is just. I mean, she's a great addition to this show. That's the one thing I can say is it's bringing about more stuff than I think we would be used to. And are you muted again?
I am. Just keep going. That's why.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my point. I have no problems with the time skip.
Perfect. So after this, Ellie leaves and she ends up going back to her home. First off, fantastic shot of the mailbox right here. The flowers in the background, all this stuff just absolutely touching, just like it was in the game when Ellie walks to the house. And I like that they kept this meandering moment of Ellie walking through Joel's house. That was one of my favorite parts of the game, personally. And the fact that they kept it, I wouldn't say it's one for one, but it's almost just perfectly there. The wood cutting, all that stuff. And Seth is here. Hello, Seth. How you doing, man? Can you hear us? All right, we'll save it. I don't know if he's there talking. Chat to me when you're ready. But yeah, I thought this mailbox moment was perfect as could be. And then just walking through the house, the gun, the watch, her grabbing the revolver, and then Dina coming right in, which we'll talk about in a second. Cody, what do you think of this meandering moment? And Seth, can you hear us?
Now I can.
Perfect. Welcome in, Seth. Cody,
Okay.
give your thoughts, and then we'll have Seth jump in.
Yeah, I am. It's one of my favorite scenes from the game, but more importantly, it's probably my favorite moment from the entirety of the Last of Us show at this point. Because for those of you who have suffered loss in any kind of way, it doesn't need to be like necessarily the loss of a loved one, but if we're talking like the loss of a friendship, like it's or if you've been through trauma in a substantial way, the way that Bella Ramsey, when she is clinging on to Joel's jacket, it's so accurate to how that situation would play out. And the reason why I know this is because something like that has happened to me before. And it's just the whole scene was just so beautifully well done. Like it's yeah, I loved it.
Perfect. I love it. Now, Seth, you're joining
Yes.
us. Overall, give your quick impressions of everything, and then jump into this moment as well, man.
I'd missed the moment. So what was the moment that you guys
We're
were
talking
talking
about Ellie walking through the house, but you can give your
Oh,
your
cool.
impressions and your score for the entire episode so far, and then
Yep.
jump into that.
So the episode overall thoughts, I feel like it's missing a lot of the things that I was like hoping were going to happen in this episode, like game versus show. So overall, I think I'm giving it a 6. But the scene that you guys are talking about, I did really like that scene. I thought it was really beautiful, and like having that extra aspect of her going through her grief and like hearing her side of it. But overall, I don't know. I was kind of let down by the episode.
I can get it to a certain extent. So
Yeah.
here's my thoughts personally, because you haven't really heard anything that we've been talking about, but
No.
I I really like this episode. I really like this episode. Cody likes this episode, but he's starting to have worries about the entire season, and so am I.
Mhm.
I like the changes in this episode, but I have questions for the rest of the season now. more questions, which we'll talk about. And the way that we're structuring this one is we're going to go scene by scene, basically, then talk about a little bit from the game, give our predictions, then jump into the live chat.
Cool.
But yeah, great scene. But then it jumps into our favorite, Isabella Merced as Dina. And I love that they brought this moment into here. I think Dina's relationship with Ellie is one of my favorite things, but I also really like that they gave Dina more of a relationship with Joel in this. And I love how she comes in, she offers the cookies, and she goes, "You're going to be mad at me. I have more details." And I love how she just instantly gets into it. I know the names. She laid out all the names. She says, "I know where they're at." And she knew the symbol. And then I like that Eugene comes back in. Eugene comes back in because he knew about the WLF. Very, very interesting. Seth, I'll let you take it away on this. What do you think of this conversation? What do you think overall?
I love that conversation, and I love the interactions. Honestly, like, I think Dina was cast perfectly. Like, every time she's on screen, I'm just like, she was perfectly cast for this role, and every emotion from that character in the game to the show is just like matched perfectly. So I loved it.
Yep. Cody, you?
I'll swing it back to one of the previous scenes that we were talking about with the fact that Jackson was completely obliterated in the last episode. Ellie was brought into the hospital, like completely bedridden because her entire insides were made into mush. And the fact that Dina brings it up that even if she went to the hospital and gave Ellie all those details there would be no way that they would be out of Jackson at that point. Ellie would not be able to move, even if she wanted to.
Exactly.
I thought that was a very, very important detail. But also the fact that I like what they're doing with Dina, where Dina has such a good relationship with everybody that is inside the show of The Last of Us that is so different from the dynamic that she had in the game. It's perfect casting, and the way that Dina is written in this show for me is one of the highlights of the second season so far.
She's so good.
I loved it.
Great. So after this, and understanding why Dina wished Jane, because as Cody said, Ellie, you would not have been able to do shit. I'm sorry, girl, you would not. I like that they go straight to Tommy next. And I like how it's this whole thing of we need to form something with the council. I like that me and Cody were talking. We really like the council idea of Jackson. That makes sense. It's not just Maria saying, "No, bitch, you cannot go. We are not allocating resources." I will say though, Ellie, really 16 fucking people. You need 16 people to go. Why not take 8, 5? Like they did it with 5 people. You can do it with 5. Just saying. I think 16 was a little bit too much, but I like that they're kind of building that up. Same thing that kind of goes to Jessie, showing that she's training again. We kind of see Ellie's probably going to pull off some badass moves against the WLF, just like she did in the game. So I'm excited to see that stuff. What did you think of Tommy kind of reacting to that? Do you see that pain? I see that pain and that struggle going back and forth because as a new dad, I get it. Like, if someone were to die, do you make that choice to go over and risk your life and never see your son grow up or what? So I see that restraint. I also really like Jesse's kind of restraint too, because even though he's a rule person, you can tell he's he wants to do more. Cody, what do you think?
Me, this is one of the places that I'm starting to get concerned with this show, because I understand that it's a different dynamic and I understand that it's different writing and everything else. My concern, though, is that the way that Tommy seems to be written in this season, at least for me, it feels in conflict with how he was structured in the first season of The Last of Us. Because The Last of Us, the first season, it's very much written that Tommy, like Joel, has a very dark history that he doesn't want to go back to. And I do see your point. I do see the point of if you've got a son and if you've got a family, that will be a concern. My thing is that I'm wondering how much Joel's death outside of the opening scene of this episode actually affected Tommy, because for me, knowing what we know about him, it seems like he's more concerned about the town than he is about everything else, especially since what we know about the town of Jackson in the show is much more populated and bigger than it is in the game. And so I'm just, I don't dislike what they did in this episode. I'm starting to get concerned with it, though.
I think that concern, though, is something that we can't answer until we see the whole story, which
Exactly.
sucks. It's because my wife never played the game. Not mad at this. She's like, I get it. Like, I get it. Us as game fans are like, Tommy, you should have been already there 2 months ago. You know what I mean? Well, I guess no, because Dina withheld information, so he didn't know. I think that's another thing to keep in context is that Tommy wasn't there when he died. He was in the game. Kind of fuels that fire when you see your own brother die instead of hearing about it. Seth, take it away.
I'm with Cody on this one too. I was expecting something different.
Fuck y'all.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I
don't know. I just I didn't feel the pain from him. Like besides that opening scene with him, I didn't really feel that that pain was there. And I was expecting a little bit more from his character this season. It kind of just feels like he's kind of being pushed to the side as of right now.
That's fair. I think that's fair. Curious to see where that goes. Mm-hmm. I trust Craig Mazin. Craig Mazin, and I trust Neil Druckmann. But let's see, Cody, what were you saying?
What I was saying is, I mean, yeah, it's a concern right now, as the episode stands, but it's like we've been saying since the start of season 2. These are concerns and cons for right now. When the season wraps up, they may not be concerns or cons anymore.
Exactly. Which gets us to one of the more important scenes is the actual council trial. Now, I like that so many people are there because of the Joel situation. And I like that we get people who are in favor of it because they don't think that we should send people. I like that we get people in favor of it who think we should just forgive and forget, which goes towards the whole theme and thematics of the game. And then I like Seth, man, a piece of shit. Actually, still a piece of shit, but likable to a certain extent. It's those little characters that you give detail to that I really appreciate. And his little speech before Ellie's was fantastic. But I think in a way, he was the anchor that Ellie wanted to progress in here. And Ellie was able to come in now and give a more level-headed speech. And I thought her speech was great. I also want to say, anyone saying that Bella Ramsey looks too young, she looks great in this. She looks older. She acts older. And I think now having this big death in her life does transpire her to act more of her age. I just wanted to say that, but I cannot acclaim enough. The last 2 episodes alone, if she does not win the Emmy, Golden Globe, whatever, absolute bullshit. I know The Pit. I know what else has come out. What else has come out, guys? The Pit.
Batman earlier, or Penguin.
White Lotus, Penguin. I don't care. Already enough. This is the best performance I've seen in this entire awards season. Fantastic. What did you guys think about the council? Who did I start with last time? Cody or Seth? I think I started with Cody. So Cody. Seth, you go.
Yeah, I like the council too. And I thought having the focus on Seth, because that wasn't in the game, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember that. Yeah,
Seth,
I didn't think so.
The only thing you get from Seth is him calling them whatever they did at the end and then giving the sandwich.
Okay, that's what I thought. So I like that they added this in and they kind of had that little closure there between them. And I like the whole aspect of having the council and having them vote on what was happening. Because like you said, it makes sense for a setting like this when you have that many people. It's not we can't just get rid of more people after our whole town was just ravaged by infected. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene. I thought it was a good addition for sure.
Awesome. Cody, you?
I liked it. I really did.
No, you better have loved it. We're tired of this negativity from you two.
I am. the thing is, I'm a sucker for town council scenes in any media form, book, movies, television, if they're done well. And this is done pretty damn well. My only and this is like me nitpicking here. I think that they should have started immediately into going after Joel, because although I think the discussion of corn and crops at the beginning was fine, I do think that I think it took away something.
I
And
agree with that. Actually, having
and
that time jump and everything.
I will
I gotta say, let me defend it though. This is a council meeting. There will be people bringing stupid things to there. And I think that is one thing to be said, is that this is a town of people with different opinions and feelings. To be honest, I actually wish they would have shown another thing, because it all goes towards The Last of Us and meandering. It needs to show that the town is alive. That's one thing that the game, I felt like, could have done a little bit stronger, was show more of Jackson, So that's just me. Anything else you guys want to add to the council?
I love the fact that I think I saw a comment here about Seth as a character in the game, which I think it's Tyler Watts, where he says, Seth is pretty much the town drunk, and for a minor character from the game, getting a huge moment this episode is definitely different in a good way. And I think that's sort of the big thing here, is that Seth is a character you would not think they would give as much depth as they did, but I'm glad that they have, because now Seth for this season is one of my favorite characters in the show.
No, I don't know if I'd say he's my favorite. Still a piece of shit, but
Yeah, I mean,
let's not go too far ahead. We'll talk about the next thing in a second. The next moment I want to talk about is this one. Tommy going to the baseball game, which it's really cool to see that they have a baseball game. Like, I like that Jackson's kind of normalized and that stuff, but I liked his conversation with Catherine O'Hara here. And I have to say, I really thought we were going to get confirmation that Joel and Tommy had that conversation from the game. Right then and there. Because it seems like she's trying to figure out what the hell happened. And I want to ask you, do you guys think she does figure out? I think she does. From one way or another.
Considering how much they're sort of pushing into her interrogating the entire Ellie and Joel relationship, I wouldn't doubt that she's going to find out. Whether it's this season is up in the air, but it will definitely be by next season.
I think I know when she finds out. I'll leave it at that. I'll say it when we get to our predictions.
I agree too. I think she's going to find out, but I'm like trying to figure out like at what end, like what does that mean for her knowing,
Yeah, no, exactly. I think I have an idea, but we'll save it to when we get to predictions and we can spoil a little bit of the game. So after this, we jump forward and we get, I'll leave this up for a second, but we basically get Ellie goes back. They said no. Such bullshit. But we knew it was going to be no. And of course, what is Ellie doing? She's stocking the fuck up. She is stocking up. And I love how Dina knocks and she's like, oh, I'm going to bed. And Dina's like, no, you're not. Where are you going? And, she shows Dina. And I like that Dina's like, here's the map. Goes through the whole thing. And then before she leaves, she tells her, you need this, this, and this. I know a guy. It's not Jesse. And then we get to her leaving, and she goes, you could have asked me. I would have done it. Great interaction. What do you think of that scene, Cody?
For me, I'm just going to put it plainly. Everything from the time Ellie stalks up to the end of the episode is my favorite part, or my favorite half of the episode. Like, the stalking up stuff, I'm a nerd for this kind of thing, because I love crafting. And the fact that Ellie was not only crafting, but stalking up, and her whole interaction, Bella Ramsey and Isabella in the show, like Ellie and Dina it's such a highlight in this show. Their chemistry together is so ridiculously good, and so I loved it.
I'm also with you on this one, Cody. I really like that back half of the episode, and I like you said, their chemistry together is just so perfect. And honestly, I'm so happy they casted Isabella as Dina, because, like, honestly, out of every single character in the show, I feel like she embodies the character from the game the most out of anybody, and I just think it's like, I don't know, it's really good, and I'm
She
excited to
has the
see.
essence.
She
has the
does.
essence of Dina.
She
Yeah.
really does. And that like playfulness, and like when they were like talking on the horseback and like playing the game, like that banter that they have, it just seems so natural.
Exactly. And that's kind of where it takes us, is like when she walks up with Seth and Ellie's face just goes, what the fuck? Because I thought it was gonna be Tommy for a second. And I think Craig and Neil did that on purpose, is to show Seth. And I like that Seth, use this. This is better. And I like that silent, we don't have to like each other, but we can agree on what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how Ellie goes back to, this isn't revenge, this is justice. But in reality, we know it is revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that maybe this starts as a pursuit of justice, but it very fast will turn into a path of revenge. And I think that path of revenge, to kind of just move forward and kind of get to the back half of this, is, we'll talk, she goes to Joel's gravesite. Love that moment. Love her leaving the coffee beans. Just hits those moments, especially going to the coffee scene back from season 1. But it's, you see Joel, or you see Ellie and Dina going meandering through the forest and all that stuff in their journey. And I love that. I was really curious to see how they would do the jump from Jackson to Seattle. And I thought they did that great. Plays off from the game. But it goes to the Sephirite, or the Seraphites. Right? Am I saying it right? Seraphites?
Yeah, Seraphites.
You got it.
Which ties back to that earlier scene, where it kind of paints them as these normal people just trying to live, and the wolves killing them. Which we know there's no gray, or there's no area of gray and black and white in the Last of Us universe. So I'm curious to see how they develop that more, and how they develop the WLF. Because right now they just make the WLF to be out to fucking be assholes. It's like, genuinely, like, cross the board. But you see that kid, and then you see him flowing in, you see the dead body, and you see Dina throw up, which I'll talk about that in a second.
We all know.
And you see Ellie's face change. She goes from, I'm here for justice and able to joke around, to, I'm going to kill them all. I'm going to kill every single one of them. All in her face, which ties into the ending shot of that entire army moving forward. It ties to Manny being up very high into the Seattle Sky Tower, peeling down, which I thought for a second he was going to see them, which would have been very unique. And it pans to when they pull up to the Seattle, giant out vista, which is 1-for-1 from the game. Just have to say, beautiful. We know what scene's coming up in the next episode if we know that whole situation. But I love how that played out. And again, it all goes down to the performances. I know it's a big, long spiel to talk about. Cody, I'll let you go next. Seth, to the journey, to all that stuff, the performances. What do you think?
Oh, it's me or Cody? Sorry.
Cody.
Okay, so I will say, there was one portion during this entire back half I was like, oh god, because as soon as when Dina and Ellie were in the tent together, and Dina was asking Ellie to rate the kiss, I was like,
that great moment.
Please do not tell me they're gonna do what I think they are, but they didn't. But something I found so interesting is we actually find out that Dina and Jesse are back together. Even though there is, I mean, we know for a fact Dina likes Ellie. Like, there's no doubt about it. But the fact that they did get back together, for me, it's such a small detail. But I'm gonna save what I was gonna say after for the next section that we talk about. But fair. The one thing I will say is, like, everything I think is everything in the back half of this episode. Once again, I think everything it's just so good. The gravesite, them wandering around reminded me of Lord of the Rings. Like, it's just, and
it's nice.
Whenever you get to see, like, beautiful countryside in frame, it's just, I'm a National Geographic fan, so I'm a sucker for that stuff. But I thought it was the last half of this episode I thought was great.
Yeah. And I want to mention one thing before we get to Seth. I really like that line that Catherine O'Hara says in here, because one of my friends just texted me, your final moment with someone doesn't define your whole time with them. Perfect. Seth, go on. What do you think of the back half?
That was a really great thing that Ellie said. I really like that a lot. Back half, I liked the ending. I'm excited for the next episode. I am on the other side of Cody. I did not like the tent scene because I thought there was going to be more, and it feels like it's being dragged out, which might impact something later on for people who didn't play the game. But overall, I don't know. Like I said, overall, I think the 6. I'm giving it a 6. I'm excited for next week's episode. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the end of the episode. So this is where we're going to talk about the game a little bit. So spoilers for the game, just a heads up. This is only going to be for a little bit, and we're also going to predict some things. So if you don't want to know what we're going to predict and thoughts, I mean, this might be your best way to kind of cut out and leave. Thank you so much for watching, or feel free to come back once this banner is gone. But there is a lot to talk about in terms of things to come and worries. So I think we're all in agreement. We're a little worried about Tommy's storyline this season.
Yep.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep.
Seth, I was telling Cody beforehand, and this is my guess. My guess is, while he's not there in Seattle yet, he will be there soon. And it will most likely be, just like in the game when Jesse comes up behind Ellie, that'll be Tommy instead. And I feel like it'll be Tommy and Jesse there doing the thing. I'm okay with that. As long as Tommy goes to Seattle. As long as Tommy goes to Seattle.
Yeah.
I cannot repeat that enough. I will be okay with the entire thing. If he does not go, holy shit. There's a lot that misses from that.
Yes.
Because then the whole last 2-3 hours of the game, who's the one guilt tripping? Who's the one that guilt trips Ellie? It won't be Dana. That's for fucking sure. Won't be Jesse because and it won't be Ellie herself. I mean, it could, but it shouldn't. And it shouldn't be Seth. It should be Tommy.
I wonder if it's going to be Catherine O'Hara.
God, I hate it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? You guys in agreement with that?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely in agreement.
Complete agreement. Because here's the thing: all of my issues I have with Tommy, like him worrying about his kid, him worrying about the town. Look,
Could literally be solved like that.
It's like if all of those worries, if he puts those aside and actually goes with Jesse or by himself to Seattle, or if there's another reason why he goes after them, like problem solved like that, because it means that him as a character, that would actually make his dynamic a bit interesting while making him a different take on the character of Tommy. Speaking of Jesse, the thing I wanted to mention before, the fact that him and Dina are actually in a relationship still, like, again, for me, that actually adds more to the fact there's a legitimate reason why he would be going after them now. Because in the game, although we know that Jesse and Dina had a relationship, but he knew that Dina and Ellie were together. So it felt like a friendship thing. There's something so much more powerful about a romantic pull than a platonic pull to take care of people. And
go ahead, sorry, finish your
saying. No, Seth, feel free.
I was gonna say, I think it just hit me, and we are allowed to talk spoilers now, right? Like we're good. Okay, so I think the reason they're back together makes her pregnancy mean more, or it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So spoilers: Dina's clearly still pregnant.
Yes.
When she goes, "Oh, I don't know why I did that." No, it's because you're fucking pregnant.
And it's because she's still with Jesse, which makes sense because in the game you're like, "How did she get pregnant?" So that actually makes a lot more sense, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic for sure, especially if they are still together.
100%. Adding into this, just a prediction for next week. I'm assuming next week is fully Dina and Ellie centric. I imagine we get the her playing Take on Me. I imagine we get some meandering of that. I imagine Dina finds out about Ellie's immunity next week. I feel like this is the episode. I feel like this is basically Dina and Ellie's relationship episode. And the episode after that, I think, is we get into the death. I think Nora is probably episode 5. If I'm being honest, I think that'll be episode 5, and then we kind of just go on from there. But I really like how they're building them up. Other things from the game, obviously Catherine O'Hara is not there. I wanted to speak about when I think she finds out. I think when it's all said and done, Ellie's going to therapy. And I think that is when she finds out what Joel did. So season 3, baby, fucking back half of it. I think that's when we see it. Do you guys have anything else to mention from the game, primarily that maybe I'm missing, that you guys want to bring up from this episode?
I mean, there is one big thing I wanted to bring up in terms of a difference, and it's around Jackson. The fact is, in the game, there was no horde of like clickers and like there was not like the town of Jackson was not destroyed in the game. It was very much of an intimate thing between Tommy, Joel, Abby, and her group. Whereas here, it's why the recuperation time for Jackson actually makes sense. Whether you're just watching the show or whether you're a fan of the game, it makes sense.
100%. Seth, you?
One of the things that I want to talk about a little bit more on was the tent scene, because that tent scene, like a lot of the conversation that they pulled from that was the exact same conversation from like in the game when they were in like the weed farm place when they were, when they fell in love. So I was really hoping for that, but I feel like they're building on it to make it so much more impactful. So I don't know. I'm like kind of torn on that aspect of the relationship, because I'm like, I know where it's going. I feel like it's just building it out for more people. I don't know. It's going to be interesting how that kind of wraps into one thing.
It's interesting because almost all the choices Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann are doing, I almost agree with. Like, if I had never played the game, I would be like, oh, this is fucking great. I love this.
But if we just want our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like I had the same issue with the first season. Yeah. Sometimes I have to remember that, like, this is not the game. This is a different version of the story. And I have to take that for what it is. So, yeah, man. I mean, I don't have too much to say more from it. A lot of it being because this is vastly different from the game so far. So just kind of to jump in some predictions. I know we've already kind of mentioned next week. I think we're all in agreement. Ellie and Dina centric episode. Tyler Watts did say, though, we get Isaac's introduction next episode, which, yes, I fully agree. We are going to see that. I think we are going to see us jumping between the WLF and Ellie and Dina's storyline. And I could see like, I'm trying to see where they could piece it. Like, I imagine, like, if I were to guess how next episode's playing out, flashback with Joel is the start. Ellie and Dina traversing. They're not going to have to do the whole fucking generator thing like from the game. But they're going to explore. We're going to see Take on Me. I think the WLF grabs them like they did in the game, like kind of move some stuff around. They fall into the subways. They got to fight that. Something happens with Ellie, and Dina is like, you're infected, yada, yada. And then she goes, no, I'm immune. Anything else I'm missing? And then somewhere alongside there, Isaac's introduced.
No, I feel like that's perfect. I think you nailed it on the head.
Cody, you?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think that's how the episode's going to go.
That's the direction
one thing I will say, the only other thing I would say that could potentially happen next week is if they are going to do it like they did in the game where they hunker down inside of a movie theater, I think that is where we're going to get the flashback of Ellie first learning how to play the guitar.
I could see that too, like middle of the episode as well. Okay, fair enough. Because we know we're getting that flashback this season. We know we're getting the museum flashback. And we damn right know we're getting what happened with Eugene. Which, I guess there's another one. We know that we find out why they were... Well, I guess it's spoilers. We find out... We see the scene of Joel telling Ellie. That whole conversational piece, you know? So, I don't know. There's a lot to predict. Anything else you guys kind of want to just randomly throw out for the predictions, or are you guys ready to run into some of the live questions?
Oh, I'm ready for some live questions.
Oh, wait a sec. If there's one thing, unless they've changed it up, we're going to be introduced to the bloaters next week, too.
Haven't we already gotten the bloaters?
Yeah.
We just got one in the last episode.
In the town.
No, not the.
The Shamblers?
There we go.
The
The-
Shamblers. I don't know if they're going to do the Shamblers this season. I don't know. I think they might hold out until next. Maybe towards the back half. Because it's basically a bloater.
Mhm.
Do you think we're going to be getting the Rat King?
Not
This season? Hell no.
No, next season.
Oh yeah, you have
If
to.
they're finishing it, they have to.
Yeah.
They have to do the Rat King. I'd be pretty shocked if they didn't, in fact, actually.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's kind of my thing. I think Tommy's going, like, over or under 70%, Tommy goes to Seattle. You guys all over still?
Over 70, yeah.
I mean, at this point,
I hope.
it's like he has to. Like, there's nothing else for him to do at this point except go to Seattle. So I'm like, I expect to see him there. If he's not there, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, they definitely just like didn't know what to do with him.
Also, it's like one big thing I wanted to bring up is like during one of the biggest pieces of conflict for the WLF during the game, like Abby's group, their main conflict was Ellie. But if we're talking about the WLF as a whole,
Seraphites.
it wasn't just the Seraphites. When Tommy got introduced to the WLF,
he fucks them up.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be wild. So, no more spoilers for the game unless we have to talk about it, which Thomas Baker might be doing that with his first question. Which characters from Abby's group do you think will die first? So, one thing we haven't actually mentioned in our journey on this is they're actually missing 2 characters from the game. And it seems like Manny has taken that frame of it. I think Manny's the first one to die. No, wait, no. Take that back, Nora. I think Nora's the one that dies first. Seth, you still think it's Manny?
I feel like for it, like, to make sense, it does have to be Nora. But I feel like they hinted at Manny, so it's going to be the first person they see. So, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm like 50-50.
Okay. Cody?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on that too. Because it might be Nora. But I'm not 100% confident that it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if Manny were to die, he's dying next episode. That's the only place I can, like, if he's dying first, he's dying next episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's just where it has to go.
Which 2 characters, before we continue, were you talking about?
It's the kid that she scars, and then there's the girl.
Oh, but that's later on. That's like way later on, isn't it? Oh no.
No, because it's in that whole. It's when they get kidnapped by the WLF.
The kid that. Oh yeah. Okay, now I remember what you're talking about.
I don't remember his name, but he gets cut, and then there's a love interest too with the guy or something. I don't remember her name.
I know who you're talking about, and I think they did replace him with 2 other people.
Okay.
Because they were in the golf scene.
Were they? Because
yes. And Manny is the one who got cut.
show. In the show, or there was 2 extra people.
Yes, there was.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but
I thought there was. Because there was.
I think there's only the 2. Because every time we've seen the group,
Jordan
it's only been those ones.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan's not in the show. I know that for a fact. The other ones.
The girl I could be wrong. Killed at the news station.
Yeah, the news station girl.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm looking it up. Okay, so that makes sense. You're right. They weren't in there. Weird. Okay.
Yeah, so I think Manny's taking the replacement of them. Maybe Manny and Nora have a relationship, because that would tie in. If Manny dies next, she's going to Nora. Vice versa, if she finds Nora first, she's going to Manny next. Which, like, Manny's death in the game is so quick that it's like, oh, I'm okay with that change, because it's just like, oh, okay, he's dead. Like for me, Manny should have suffered more in the game. That's just my opinion. Yeah. So next up, we got Frankie Mega World 2010 as did Last of Us Season 2 improve on number 1 Season 1? It's hard to tell right now. Yeah. I can't like give a definitive thing, but I think it's just as good as Season 1 as of right now. Seth, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just as good. There's a couple things that I like more so far. But overall, I think it's just as good. It's not like better yet, but I think it will be. I know it will be.
Yeah. Cody, you?
Yep. Agreed. I don't think, and of course, it's hard to tell because the season has not come to a close. But as of right now, I would say it's just as good as the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Frankie Mega World 2010 also asked, "Do you want a Last of Us movie?" I'm assuming you're asking if we would prefer a movie to a show. No.
No.
You can't. Maybe the first game. Maybe the first game you do as a movie.
Well, you
The
know,
second.
there already is a movie. It's called Go Online and type Last of Us 1 cutscene movie. It's an hour and a half long movie.
I thought you were about to say Logan. I thought you were gonna be like.
Well, yeah, that is also a Last of Us movie.
So I think we're all in agreement. It's just do a show.
Yeah.
There's nothing for that. Joey's
Real-
Movie Blocks says, "I think we're getting the weed and love scene next week as well." Yeah, I mean Ellie has that big bag of weed she stole from Eugene's place, so
True.
That's true. That could happen unless Dina gets violently pregnant next week, like she did in the game.
I don't think they're gonna reveal the pregnancy till like 5, maybe the finale too. But also, like, how does she know if she's pregnant? She could just be sick. You know what I mean? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. In the game, did she know when they got there, or she just started to assume?
No, when they get to the movie theater, Dina says, "I think I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see on that. And then the last resident, this might be the last comment we take if there's no other questions. Not the biggest fan of Ellie and Dina's relationship in the show so far, as it feels like the relationship feels less real because of Dina and Jesse's relationship still kind of being a thing. Thoughts? I don't agree, mostly because we haven't seen a lot of Dina and Jesse's interaction one-on-one. I think if we saw more of that, I would be like, oh yeah, no, I get that. But for me, it's just in mention. It's the apocalypse. I mean, they're going to bang whoever they want. They're going to be with whoever they want. Like, it's the end of the world. Like, you live in life to the fullest at this point, man. You're going to tell me Joel wasn't sleeping around in that town for 5 years? No, that man was getting laid.
The most handsome man. Come on.
You see all those people in that damn place? You're going to tell me there's not one female he was with. Bullshit. It's Pedro Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
It's what do they call him? Zaddy. So it's Pedro Pascal. Cody, what do you think about this?
Oh my god.
He loves Zaddy.
Yes, I do love Zaddy. I love Pedro Pascal. But I mean, I see where the point is coming from, but at the same time, for me, even though it was mentioned that Dina and Jesse are like together, Dina and Ellie's relationship feels exactly in its essence how it was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily feel like there's that big of a difference.
That's fair. I dig it. Seth?
Honestly, after talking to you guys and like kind of hashing it out, I think I like the direction it's going with the show because it makes more sense for this medium, and it's like it's making us care about that relationship. So when that big moment does happen, I think it'll be way more impactful. It's gonna hit harder, and it's gonna mean something more. Honestly.
Yeah. So last thing I kind of want to mention before we finish this up, unless we get another question. Did the viewership drop off? We didn't get. I forgot to bring this up, and I was hoping that Seth would be able to join to have this conversational part. But last week was a big bomb for many people.
Yep.
Majority of people watching the show did not play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved going to work. This week because the amount of people I talked to about this was great, and only I think 2 of them had played the game, and both of them loved the game like me. So it's like us, we're like, no, you gotta understand. There's like, it's stuff going on with Abby and her dad. Like, you know, if we were following them, you'd get it. No. There's a lot of these people then. The Last of Us is not trending anywhere. Do you think people just said, I'm out, I'm done? Do you think people will wait a couple weeks, see what other people are saying, and then jump back into the conversation? What are we thinking? Seth, I'll let you start, man.
So I actually know people who stopped watching,
Okay.
who like were like, I'm done. Like Pedro is like, why they watch. I don't think the drop off is going to be as huge, but I do think there is going to be a drop off because like Pedro is the get for a lot of people, and I feel like people are going to be like impatient, but if they stick it out, like if they knew what we knew, or if they just like stick it out, that reward is so much like
Maybe
so worth it.
Is the reward worth it though?
Well, we'll find
Because
out, I guess.
I'll say this: my
Yeah.
wife keeps asking me because she doesn't know the ending of the game. She
Yeah.
keeps asking me, and let's not spoil it for
No,
people.
no,
She
no.
goes, "Does Ellie kill Abby?" I told her, "Yeah." Didn't say anything else. So that's all she's thought for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
There's so much more to that.
Yeah.
What do they do in the show, though? You know what I mean? Like, the ending's perfect for The Last of Us Part 2. I would almost say keep it 1-for-1. You cannot change that at all. But, Cody, you go on, man. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, as like shocking slash not shocking as it is that the viewership, I guarantee that people have just stopped watching it entirely. It's so funny to me because the way the way that and I'm talking scores, reviews, like how the show just got completely plummeted into the floor. This feeling feels very familiar to everybody who's here because we had to go through this little circular drain when the game came out originally.
The game, I'll be honest with you, I think the game was worse for the discourse. I think
Yeah.
most people I talked to were like, oh, it sucks. But I didn't hate the episode. I
mean,
liked
no
it.
one's threatening to kill Caitlin Dever at this.
No.
They're telling her to kill
No, yeah.
Thank God.
No, not at all. No one's threatening her life.
I mean,
I'm sure there's
Caitlin
some dumb
Dever's
fuck doing it, but
Oh, I'm sure.
Caitlin Dever's not talking about going into hiding to protect herself and her family because she's legitimately scared for her life.
So messed
yeah.
up.
I think this is me and Cody were talking about this too. I think this is a Glenn and Abraham situation. When they died in The Walking Dead, a lot of people stopped watching. But
Yeah.
the second highest viewed episode of The Walking Dead, other than that one, is the one after that. And people stopped watching because Rick was a pussy ass bitch.
Yep.
And he kept being a pussy ass bitch. Ellie not a pussy ass bitch in here. She like, I'm locked,
No.
I'm loaded, I'm going. But I think a lot of people are just like not in a rush to now watch. They're like, I can catch it an hour later. I can catch it tomorrow. I can catch it Tuesday. I don't need to watch right away. And maybe they will once they are like, oh, Ellie's fucking going. Let's do this shit. So, but yeah. We got a couple more questions. Anything else you guys want to bring up about like the viewership, the non-trending?
I mean, it also just this kind of thing always happens with something extremely shocking in stuff we care about. If anybody remembers, I mean, there was a similar time when I believe it's like season 3, whichever season the Red Wedding was for Game of Thrones.
3.
That also, when that episode aired, there was a
Funny.
major drop off after the episode came out because everybody loves the Starks, and the entire Stark bloodline just plummeted into the floor in one like 10-minute segment. So I have a feeling things will bounce back. It's just people might need like a couple of weeks to heal from the trauma that we all healed from like 5 years ago.
I also, one last thing to note too, I also think that like this episode kind of came out like at a time where I feel like the movie theaters, like there's a lot of really good movies in theater. They're booming right now. So I'm like, this episode doesn't seem like the priority. Like what Sinners had the second lowest drop off of all time for like a rated R. Like, so I think that also comes into play here. I think the NBA playoffs comes into play. So I think there's a lot of factors that are going to make that number seem a lot worse than it really is.
Yeah. Off topic before we get to the last two questions. Kevin Feige, I'm so sorry that Sinners is blowing up in theaters, man. I do not know how Thunderbolts is going to do next week. Just saying now. I heard the movie's great.
Yep.
I heard the movie's great. I see it tomorrow, but I'm sorry. I don't think that.
I can't wait to see Thunderbolts.
Same. Looks amazing. Like, I don't know. Last two questions. The last resident. Do you think the Abby story will be explored at all this season? If not, is this a mistake? It is a mistake if they don't touch on it, at least in the slightest. They have to touch on it a little bit. But I will also say, where do you touch on it?
The last 2 episodes?
Maybe. But is that enough? This season, again, I could be wrong once I see the whole thing, should have been more than 7 episodes. 8,
100%. I hate that
9,
they're doing that.
or these episodes should be longer.
Yep.
Mhm.
You made us wait an hour, a year and a half for the show? I also don't get that with a lot of these shows now. Why are we not extending this? It's like Game of Thrones final season. Every episode should have been an hour and a half. Every episode.
Especially if we're only getting 6 episodes.
Exactly. Cody, what do you think about this?
Yeah, agreed. It's like particularly this episode alone. For me, it's like in terms of the length of the show, I think the first 2 episodes in terms of length, I think an hour was perfect. Like they came in, they got the impact that they needed to, they told the stories that they needed to. But unfortunately, especially since this episode dealt with the aftermath of the death of Joel, I felt like it needed to be at minimum an hour and a half, because some of the stuff in here, for me, the council segment I thought was great. I thought it should have been 15 minutes longer than it was.
And
yeah, no, you go, Seth. You go.
I was gonna say too, like, and with only 3 episodes being left, like, there's not a lot of runway here, and there's a lot of stuff to cover. Like, unless they are doing 2 more seasons of this game, I don't know. There's a lot to cover here over these next 3 episodes that, like, it's gonna be interesting to see how they pack it all in.
No, I agree. I think to add in here, what's the word? I don't know. I'm blanking. It's 8:00. I'm over. I'm tired. Thomas Baker, do you think Jesse will die this season? I guess spoilers. No, I don't think so. What about you guys?
No.
Yeah.
I think if they're gonna spoiler for the game, if they are structuring this like they did the game, then if Jesse is gonna die, it will be in season 3.
Yeah, I think the more and more I think about it, I think this season ends on Ellie at the aquarium. And I'll just leave it at that. I think that's where the season ends at, with what she does. And I think that's it. I think that's where this ends. Because Sergio says season 3 is the point of view of Abby with Lev and Yara. It's not confirmed. I would assume so, because Lev and Yara are not casted. So I'd imagine that's what it is. But that's asking TV audiences a lot.
Yeah.
For an entire season of Abby. I mean, game-wise, it's fine and it makes sense. But I'll be honest, I have friends who have never finished the game because they really hated Abby. They really hated Abby. I get it. I mean, I get it to a certain extent. I also think you just got to push through and have fun. Because I pushed through. I did not want to play as Abby. I was pissed off. But then I played through and I'm like, oh, I get it.
You get it.
So, with that remark, any final thoughts from you two about this? Are you guys still at a 9.5? Are you still at a 6? Are you still at an 8.5? For me, I'm still at a 9.5, but I think this is one of those episodes that either this rating will go up or down, depending on how the rest of the story is told. I think this is one of the most important episodes because it's very much a build-up episode, but if that build-up and payoff doesn't work, one of the weakest episodes of the entire show. If it pays off and works, possibly one of the best. Cody, I'll leave it to you. Final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts for me. I will say, I'm going to put my cons that I have in this episode on the back burner and not affect my judgment, because I've realized most of them we'll see once the season ends for those cons to take full effect. And because the things that I liked about the show, I liked so much in this episode, I think I have enough to bump it up to a 9. Like, I'd bump it up to a 9.
Okay. Seth,
I'm
lowest
keeping
of
it,
us all.
I know. I'm
is
keeping
it,
it.
Is it because there's a character in the show named Seth?
I know, right? I'm a better Seth. Let's put it that way.
Yes, you are.
I don't know. I think I'm keeping it at a 6, and like kind of like what you said. Depending on how the season progresses, that this episode could go higher for me. I don't like the groundwork that's being laid here, and there's a lot missing that I'm like expecting. That's very important, and so I'm keeping it a 6.
No,
sorry, guys.
Fair enough. But like I said, I think if it pays off, you might look back and be like, no, that was like an 8. That was an 8. That was a 9. But that's our final thoughts, guys. So make sure, please, guys, if you're watching this on the replay, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button. Make sure to go subscribe. follow everywhere that Seth is at. He's on TikTok, YouTube, all those sorts of great stuff. Cody is an actor. He's got a great little film coming up soon called Whatever It Takes, and a couple other great projects. So make sure to follow him on Instagram for all those updates. With that said, my name is Zach. You guys are awesome. We're all depressed, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Don't get too